Hello, third and fourth graders. How I wish I had some of you with me right now to help me with this crazy technology stuff. I know some of you would probably be doing a lot better than I am. So we're all learning together and we're gonna get through it, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. We're gonna start on a folk art landscape inspired by the featured artist Heather Gayler. She is a contemporary artist who loves to work with bright colors and bold patterns. So your landscape is not going to be realistic. It's going to be kind of like a coloring book or a cartoon style landscape. When you get started, your goal is to create depth or space by overlapping and using perspective. So we're going to start by making our horizon line. Remember, that's the line where the sky and the earth touch each other. You want to start not exactly in the middle of your paper, a little higher than the middle of your paper, and you can make a straight line or a curved line, whatever you prefer for your landscape. Then, to create the illusion of depth, we're going to draw some diagonal lines coming from our horizon line to the front of our page. Notice I'm leaving a little bit of space between each line. Don't put them so close together because it will be very hard for you to add your bold patterns. Once you have drawn your diagonal lines to create the illusion of depth, you're going to break those sections up into a few smaller sections, trying to mimic the curve of your horizon line. So I'm breaking some of these sections into different pieces. Notice I didn't just make one line all the way across my paper. You should be kind of alternating where you put your lines. Once you have your ground finished, you're going to start on your trees for the top of your picture. Again, these are not like real trees. We're going to make simple shapes for our trees and fill them with interesting patterns. So I'm going to just make two lines for the trunk of my tree, and I'm going to make the top like a circle. This tree is going off the page. My second tree, I'm going to, again, two lines for the trunk, and I'm going to make kind of like a teardrop shape for this tree. I want there to be a smaller tree behind or overlapping this tree. So I'm making the circle first and then adding the two branches, the two trunks. Then I'm going to make another teardrop tree. I wanted to make sure I could get the top of that tree in the picture. So again, I made the shape first and the trunk second. I'm going to make another overlapping tree. So I'm making the top and then the trunk second. If you have room, you can also add houses or little farms or barns to your picture. So I'm going to squeeze in a little house over here in the corner. Now, once you have your land, your trees, your horizon line, and maybe a barn or a house added in, you're gonna start making those bold patterns and bright colors like Heather Gayler does in her artwork. So you can make simple patterns. Don't make them too complicated. Think of simple shapes or lines. And you can also repeat your patterns. You do not have to come up with new patterns for each part. So notice I am repeating that bumpy line. And I'm also going to alternate my patterns. So in this one, I'm doing the circles and the zigzags like I did here. So you don't have to do a new pattern in every spot. Then I'm gonna start again with my bumpy lines like I did in this section. It doesn't have to be something new in every spot. And again, keep them kind of simple. If you get too much, it can start to get a little too busy. So you want to keep your paper a little more simple. Then, once you have finished filling your land with patterns, you're going to do the same on your trees. Again, fill them with simple patterns. So I'm adding some different designs on each tree. Now, unlike the land, try not to repeat the same pattern on your trees. So I'm trying to come up with some different ideas for each tree. Notice, again, they're not very complicated and they're not all the same. And each one has its own different look, different types of lines, and different feel. Once you have filled up all of your trees with different patterns, you are going to trace your picture. Remember, I am only using a Sharpie so you can see what I am doing. At home, you should be using a pencil and then tracing with a black marker or a Sharpie if you have one available. Notice I did not add patterns on the trunks of the trees. I want to keep those plain so that it's not too busy. You can also add a simple pattern in your sky. Now, once everything is drawn and traced and you have created the illusion of death, you can go ahead and start coloring. So, when you color, you can use markers, crayons, watercolor, whatever you have available. If you're going to use watercolor, it's going to be a little bit tricky because you have a lot of things to paint in. My suggestion is that you use markers or crayons. Remember, when you color, every part should be its own individual color. So I'm going to start with these circles, and I'm going to make all of these circles dark blue. I am making them dark blue on every part of the landscape. Once I had all the circles filled in, then I could start with the background color. I suggest using a darker color and a lighter color in each section. Remember to take your time while you're coloring. Focus on your craftsmanship and make sure that it is nice and neat. I am going quickly so that you guys will be able to have time to do yours. So you're going to continue on coloring your picture until it is completely filled in. When you are finished, it can look something like this. Remember, your patterns, your trees, your house or barn can be completely different than mine. You do not have to do the same thing that I did. Come up with your own designs, your own patterns, and use the colors that you love. I can't wait to see all of your beautiful landscapes. I'm looking forward to them. Please remember to submit them to your ArtSonia username so that I can view them and give you feedback. I know they're going to be beautiful.